Thank you, Dr. Townsend Smith. I will now read the ethics statement that is required of all of us. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in the discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. We will now proceed directly to our report from the Education, Innovation, and Charter School Committee. I call on Ms. Amy White as chair of that committee.
Good morning, everyone. This is Amy White. I and Mr. Wayne McDevitt do chair the Education, Innovation, Charter School Committee. We have two items this morning that need our attention and approval. The first item for discussion is EICS 1, the Charter School Advisory Board's amendment recommendation for Three Rivers Charter School. As you'll remember, Three Rivers Academy, formerly known as Heritage Collegiate Leadership Academy, assumed the charter based on our vote in July, and they are now before us requesting an amendment to its charter to allow for relocation. This morning we have both Mr. Dave Machado and Steve Walker that will give both context and clarity for the reason for this amendment, and I will turn the program over to them at this point.
Thank you, Chair White and Chairman Kobe. This is Stephen Walker. I'm the Vice Chair of the Charter Schools Advisory Board. What you have before you is Three Rivers Academy's request to move the location of the school according to your policy. If it's outside of a 5-mile radius of where the school is currently located, it requires state board approval. This morning at 9 o'clock, the Charter School Advisory Board discussed this, and by a vote that was almost unanimous with only one person dissenting, recommended to you that you approve this request. To give you a little bit of background about it, as Chair White said, we have Three Rivers Academy, which used to be Heritage Collegiate Leadership Academy. That school was closed, and during the lawsuit that followed, there was a settlement agreement reached between the state board and the school to put the school up for assumption. And Three Rivers Academy and Global Education Resources Management Company was selected by the state board to be able to handle that. They have tried to negotiate with the landowner and the modular unit owner at the current location, and those negotiations haven't been fruitful. We reviewed their negotiations that they provided to us, and it seemed very reasonable what they were asking for. Just wasn't able to get it worked out, and so they are proposing to move to Powellsville, North Carolina, which is about 17 miles away from where they are. If you've been to Bertie County before, going 17 miles is you're going at the speed limit the whole way. There's not a lot of red lights, not a lot of traffic that goes through there. It's a very sparsely populated area, so most of the students already were taking about 20-minute bus rides to get where they are, and this would be about a 20-minute bus ride there. They are projecting that they're going to have about 200 students at this location. They already have 137 locked in and enrolled, and they plan to open on August 27th. The location that they're moving to is a old middle school that could be upfit fairly quickly for them to be able to start school on August 27th, and they are putting the money in to get that done, and they already have students from Washington, Hertford, Martin, and Pitt County. So for some of the students, this is going to be closer for those students, and for some of the students it'll be a little bit farther away, but it sounds like it's going to work out well and at least gives them an opportunity to open in time, as there's been quite a few other issues with the with the other location, including currently a pending lawsuit between the Three Rivers Academy and the old director of Heritage Collegiate Leadership Academy. According to the allegations in the lawsuit, furniture was taken from the old buildings, buses were hid in the woods. So it's been quite an interesting ordeal there. But this will give them a chance to get open in time, and so I encourage you to approve the recommendation of the Charter Schools Advisory Board. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Dave Machado, of course, is here as well if you need any clarification from him.
Question from board members. Chair White, I have a question to Mr. Walker. Yes. My question, Mr. Walker, has to do, you answered the question about proximity to the students in terms of the attendance zone. A question related to that, do you have any idea, and maybe Mr. Machado could answer this, the percentage of kids that that parents just drive, I mean, they're car riders versus school bus transported?
This is Dave Machado. I'm sorry, I do not have that information. On my 2 visits to that school when they were open, they do have a pretty large fleet of buses, so I can only assume that the majority of their students were transported by buses, but I don't have the exact number. I apologize.
And I'm sure a lot of decision and discussion has gone into the effect of this move on the attendance zone and the not to cause undue hardship on parents to get their kids to that school. So I guess that's my question.
And I should probably fill this in, since I did mention the lawsuit that's pending between the Global Education Resources and Dr. Hall over the buses, that there was according to media reports, I haven't seen an actual order, but there was a temporary restraining order issued against Dr. Hall to return the property and the buses to Global Education Resources. So it looks like the buses will be available.
Okay. My other question has to do with, you made some you discussed the modernization or updating, renovation to the building. So it just takes my breath away to think about renovation, and we're looking at a close at hand back to school day. So they feel like they can pull off any modernization, updating, renovating, and providing and furnishing the building too?
It looks like it's going to be about a $20,000 renovation, so not very extensive. And it seems like some very very small things that need to be done, such as putting up a firewall, some documentation, and then having some contracts signed. It sounds like it's pretty close to being able to have a educational occupancy certificate right away.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mrs. White, this is Mrs. Taylor.
Yes, Ms. Taylor. I have a couple questions, actually. One is, what % of the students there are free and reduced lunch?
Again, I don't have that information in front of me, but I would assume over 90%.
Okay. So, and then here in the renovation, how long has the school been closed that they're trying to move into?
I don't know the exact number it's been closed, but the building is currently being used as a community center, so it is it's not an abandoned building, and it is a building that has been used, so it is operable.
Okay. Yeah. Like Dr. Oxendine, I'm pretty amazed that they could get it ready in 2 weeks in a condition that would be, conducive to learning and the students, and that was one concern. My other is the 17-mile move, because these are families where transportation is not that easy. And I know, you're right, and Mr. Walker's correct. In rural North Carolina, you can drive 17 miles in 20 minutes, or 25 really, if you get behind a tractor or a trailer, and there's plenty of those out there. But my concern would be, the lack of accessibility to the parents being close to the school. A student misses a bus and it's a 25-minute drive and they don't even have a car and gas, that's a concern to me. my feeling about this has nothing really to do with GES, because I certainly appreciate that they, stepped up the bat and were willing to assume this huge amount of debt, as well as deal with a very contentious situation in Berkeley County with this prior charter operator. I feel for them. I am concerned that they may lose some students because of the distance, and true, they may pick up some new ones, but there's been a lot of bad PR in that area in the news, and I also know how cliquish that community can be. So I am extremely concerned about the ability for these students and families, and even more so the fact that they've had the past, year or two of not a stable educational setting. And so for those reasons, I have huge concerns about moving forward.
Additional questions or comments? Who was that? I'm sorry. Well, it was Olivia, but I heard another voice chime in, so I did too. Okay, I'll go through.
Olivia,
Dr. Okay, very good. Thanks, Chair White. I guess this is a question. Just I suppose CSAB or CSAB, I'm not sure. I'm sure that they probably have asked these same questions and felt confident enough to vote to move. Is that correct? Because I like Ms. Taylor, I have serious concerns about the readiness of this building and the proximity to the students. But if CSAB feels good about it and they voted yes, then I guess I would go.
this is Amy White. So I did have the opportunity to listen in to the conversation that was hosted this morning by the Charter School Committee, and they share a common interest for the students in Berkeley County. I think the reminder to us all is that this is about school choice, and that the students in the county who currently choose Three Rivers could opt back to go to Berkeley County schools at any time. And so then you say, okay, well, we're not forcing them to go to the new school, but there are many positives. As Ms. Taylor mentioned, there has been a certain degree of negativity surrounding the school, certainly promulgated by the previous leadership. And what I can tell you is that the CSAB definitely felt like that Global Education Resources had jumped through every hoop and turned over every stone to try to make this happen. From what I understand, the existing facility is operational. It's not a vacant middle school. It's one that was being used as a community center. So the investment needed for getting that facility up and running is more cosmetic and bringing it to code for the safety of a school setting. That there has been an inspection that due diligence was done by Global Education Resources. So if there's no other further discussion, then I'm going to make the recommendation that the board approve the request from Three Rivers Academy to amend its charter to move outside of the 5-mile radius.
Okay, motion by Ms. White. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Who was that second from?
Olivia. I'm sorry, this is Olivia.
Okay, Dr. Oxendine.
Mm-hmm.
Any further comment or discussion?
Chairman Cody, go ahead.
This is Alan Duncan. I've been involved in a lot of schools where we went back in after the school had been out of use for a period of time, and some of them had been used for other things, and others had not. In order to get the schools in a condition where we felt comfortable to have students there, to have our students there, a number like $20,000 would not have touched what was really needed in order to make the school appropriate for students to be there. And so I'm sorry that I don't have time to drive down and look at this facility myself. I wish I did have time to do that, or would do if we had more time. But I'm not comfortable with that notion, and especially not knowing how long it's been out of service, what the community center has been using it for in the meantime, and what purposes it's been put to. It makes me extraordinarily uncomfortable that it's necessarily fit in a very short period of time with an investment of only $20,000 to be a place where our students, and these are our students, would be appropriately placed for school. And so that's the best way I know how to express my concern. It's based on a lot of experience with this type of thing, and that number is just so far off from the realities that I have experienced that I can't get comfortable with it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Kingman.
Yes. I'm like Alan and Ms. Taylor. I just don't feel there's something inside of me just doesn't feel really good about moving forward with this idea. Extremely worried about the condition of the facilities. And as Ms. Taylor said, there's a great concern when you move. It may not sound like a 10 miles make a difference in a family getting somewhere, but it does when you're struggling to try to get your children to school and do the best you can. And when you look at all that, I just think that it's just not something that I can support.
Ms. White? Yeah, Taylor? I have one more question also. I mean, I concur with Mr. Duncan and Mr. Keenan. This is a group that came in, which I praise for stepping up. I personally feel like this is kind of a perfect storm, and I think that's what we have seen occur over the summer. And I just don't feel good at all about this moving forward. And if we have families pull out with 137 kids there now, if it's a hardship for some of these students and they pull out, this charter organization is going to have a difficult time financially with the huge amount of debt they assume, as well as trying to fix up a school, which I agree. $20,000. There's not much you can do with $20,000. So, for those lots of reasons, and in fact, my gut is saying this is just not a good thing. I will not be voting in favor of it.
This is Mrs. White. Mr. Walker or Mr. Machado, can you give any additional information or details about exactly what needs to be done to C.C. White Middle School in order for it to meet the necessary qualifications to be ready to open?
Sure, I'd be happy to do this, Mr. Walker. The school's 50,000 square feet. It's got 13 acres that goes with it as well. It is already equipped with Wi-Fi in every classroom. It's got fiber optics with plenty of internet access with hardwire cable as well. They need it. Kids, it's got a capability for all the security, internet, and IT, and everything that they need. The building is in good shape according to the inspection that was done by Genesia. There, it looks like it needs some paint. It looks like it needs the whiteboards on the wall, and it needs the furniture moved in, as well as that one firewall that I discussed before. That's why it's an ideal situation here. And there's 137 students that really hang in the balance here because if the school can't move, there's nowhere for the school to go, and that'll just be the end of the school, and you'll be sending them back to another place. It sounds like there's not a whole lot that needs to do. It's got a new roof on it. It's had new installations, new insulation, all the rest of that. There's been a lot of work already done to this building when it was being used as a community center, and so it's painted up, moved the furniture in, and it's ready to go.
And Mr. Walker, what about the school cafeteria?
I believe it does have It has a kitchen and a gym, and I believe it does have a cafeteria. Of course, being an old traditional public school.
They won't be preparing food in the cafeteria. And a few of the other things is, like the administrative bathrooms need to make sure it's handicap accessible. Nothing on the list that we're looking at is major.
Question. This is Greg Alcorn. Question.
Yes, Mr. Alcorn.
Clarifying, did I hear it's in Powellsville?
Yes.
So it's, and I did a Google Map thing, and it's the White. Hey, Amy, it's your school. It's called White School. Is that the one?
Yes. Yes.
It's the C.G. White Middle School. No relation, so I don't need to recuse myself.
Okay, thank you. Do you have access or capabilities of contacting the 137 families and asking them the point blank question? Here's where it's going to be. Can you come there? Is there a heat map of the county? Because this is at the very top of the county, and I know they come from the other counties that were said. Is there any? Could you make me feel more comfortable that you've polled that the group has been in contact with the families and can say without a doubt that moving it 17 miles to the top of the county, as opposed to waiting a year, getting comfortable with it, and sending them back to the traditional public schools, is going to be the option. Cause I'd like to have that variable become a non-variable, something that's a fact. Are they going to go to Powellsville? Has that been considered with the people taking it over?
Mr. Alcorn, this is Dave Machado. The Global Education Resources told me this morning that they have 137 enrollment packets signed. I have not personally seen them, but that's what they did tell me that this morning when I was talking to them before the CSAB meeting.
And that's with full disclosure about where the school's going to be, Mr. Machado?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
I cannot verify that that they do have that, but that's what Global told me this morning. But yes, they were informed that they were going to be moving.
Ms. White, is there? Can I have a question?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thanks. So, Mr. Machado, Mr. Walker, having done a few renovations myself, and they're all different, you never know what you exactly get into until you get into it. What is the backup plan in the event that, for whatever reason, this minor renovation is not completed by the start of school?
Well, I would think that probably the first backup plan would be to delay the opening of school a little bit. That's there. I don't think there is a backup plan if they don't go to this school. If they don't move to this location, I think that's just it. I think this is the only option that we have for these 137 students, other than just going back to Bertie County schools.
Yeah. So the real alternative is the students will go back to the local school district. So do we have any knowledge of why this facility was taken out of service? Particularly, it surprises me being in such good condition. I'm like Mr. Duncan. My experience has been when a school goes out of service, it's not one of our better conditioned facilities. So, any idea why this one was taken out of service?
No, sir. We have not inquired about that.
Does the local school district still control the property?
No, it was sold to a gentleman that has turned it into a community center.
Okay, so the new owner has invested in the facility then, it sounds like.
Yes,
the
sir.
Roof and so forth.
Correct.
Okay, so it does sound to be in a better condition than what I've experienced around facilities that have gone out of service. I too am concerned about the ability of the provider to bring this facility up to standard. But I believe that even given that concern, at least giving them the opportunity to try to put it back in service, and then if that doesn't work, then we know what will happen to the students. Perhaps we require that the operator give us some notice. I mean, we only got a couple weeks, so there isn't much time, but whether they're going to be able to complete it or in some way give us progress, particularly to the students, about being able to have this facility ready.
That was Mr. Davis speaking, and this is Bill Kobe speaking. This recommendation is brought to us with only one dissenting vote, as I understand, from the Charter School Advisory Board, and I consider them the experts with charter schools, and I hear the concerns, but to me, they aren't that great to stop this process. This process has been a risky process, but we decided from the beginning that this school was worth saving. And so it's our first assumption, and I'm personally willing to take the risk.
Thank you, Chairman Kobe. Chairman Kobe, I think I have a second on the floor. I've lost track of where we are.
Yeah, we have a motion by Ms. White, a second by Dr. Oxendine, and if there's no other comments, I'll ask Dr. Townsend Smith to call the roll.
Chairman Kobe,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Alcorn,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
No.
Mr. McDevitt,
No.
Mr. Keenan,
No.
Ms. Taylor,
No.
Dr. Oxendine,
Yes.
5-4 passes.
What's the count, Dr. Townsend Smith?
The count was 5-4 to approve.
Pardon?
5-4, the motion passes.
Well, what was the count?
5-4, 4 against.
4 against. The motion passes, and Ms. White, I turn back to you for the second item.
Thank you, Chairman Kobe. We now turn to EICS 2, the relinquishment of the charter for Cardinal Charter West. Mr. Machado.
Thank you, Ms. White. Cardinal Charter had asked for a replication to put a K-12 school in the Chatham-Wake County border, and after a lot of resistance from the residents in the town, they were not able to get that site secured, so they're asking to relinquish that charter. I've had conversations with both their board, Charter School USA, and they do intend to apply for alternative sites in other areas of Wake County. So right now, they just want to relinquish this particular charter.
Questions or comments from my colleagues? Hearing none, then I will recommend that the state board accepts the voluntary charter relinquishment for Cardinal Charter Academy West Campus in Chatham County.
Okay, motion by Ms. White. Is there a second?
I second. This is Olivia Oxendine offering the second.
Okay, Dr. Oxendine, second. Any further comment or discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Townsend Smith, will you please call the roll?
Chairman Kobe,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Alcorn,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
Dr. Oxendine.
Yes.
It's unanimous, Chairman Kobe.
Okay. Thank you. If there is no other business to come before the board at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, McDevitt.
Mr. McDevitt moves.
Has left the conference.
Who is there a second?
No, that was a left.
Okay, please, everybody, hold on till we get this adjourned. Is there a second?
Second, White.
Okay, Ms. White, second. Dr. Townsend Smith, please call the roll.
Chairman Kobe,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Alcorn,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Keenan, Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
Dr. Oxendine.
Yes.
It's unanimous, Chairman Kobe.
Okay, the motion passes and we now stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Taylor. Has left the conference.
Very good.
Still got China.